Hey everybody, Hunter, Fisher, Trapper, Trader, Guide, Scout, and Interpreter, and Country Cook Steve Hall here in Nashville, Tennessee, along with pretty Miss Sheila, who's back there behind the camera. Hi, Sheila.
Hi.
Today we're going to make scallop corn. My mom made the best scallop corn when I was growing up, but I'm going to do a different twist on it because I kind of picked up a recipe from a lady up in Minnesota. We stopped at her house and she had this wonderful scallop corn stuff, but it had Jiffy corn muffin mix in it. So we're going to give you all the ingredients right now. I'll have Sheila move the camera up here and let's get started on Jiffy corn muffin mix scallop corn. Watch this. Of course, scallop corn has to have corn. So let's start out with a can of whole kernel corn, drained. We drained the juice out of this. And then we're going to put in 1 can of cream corn. So 1 can of each in there. Then we're going to add 1 stick of butter to this, melted. And the recipe also calls for 2 tablespoons of sugar. So what I did is I melted my butter in the microwave, put in the 2 tablespoons of sugar, and dissolved it quite a bit while it was still warm. And then I let it cool back down to room temperature before I put it in here because I don't want it to cook my eggs. So there we go. So that's a full stick of butter and 2 tablespoons of sugar. Mixed in our 2 cans of corn. And I also beat up 2 eggs. It was a tough fight, but I beat them up. 2 eggs beat, and they're back at room temperature as well. I took them out of the refrigerator a while ago, so you want to put them in there. I can't wait to make this because it's so delicious, you won't believe it. And it has a kind of almost like a corn pudding texture to it. In fact, we might even call it corn pudding, but it's really not, but pretty good. Now we're going to use 1 little small container, and I think this is 8 ounces, yes it is, of sour cream. And I bought this just for this recipe. By the way, if you don't click pass on the commercials at the beginning before the video starts, it gives us a couple pennies and we can buy more goodies like this and do more recipes for you. So we appreciate your support and appreciate you subscribing to our channel. And now we got our 8 ounces of sour cream we're mixing in there. I want to really get that incorporated and get everything blended up nice before I put in the magic ingredient. I think we're doing good. And now it's corn muffin mix. Let me tell you a little story about this. Years ago I was up in Canada with my son and we went up there northern fishing because their season opened a little bit before Minnesota. We caught the northerns, flayed them out, flayed all the Y bones out because we know how to do that. And we forgot fish breading. Well, I dug around in the cabinets of the motorhome and found a box of Jiffy corn muffin mix. For all the Minnesota folks up there that catch northerns, fry some northerns up in this Jiffy corn muffin mix. It's got just enough cornmeal and just enough sugar to make them northern pike taste outstanding. Now, we're going to stir this in. I'm going to try to incorporate this a little at a time here. See if I can get my bowl to go around the circle. You can tell Sheila cleaned the counter, that's for sure. Go in different directions, just don't have to look at the same thing. All right, here we go. Now I'll get a hold of it. That is really the magic ingredient for this recipe, is that box of Jiffy corn muffin mix. Now you want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. We're doing that right now as we're mixing this up. And we're going to put this in a 2-quart casserole dish. And just before we do, we're going to give it a little bit of salt, about a ½ teaspoon, and a little bit of pepper. Not very much. Now you know I like pepper, but I'm only going by the recipe of a ½ teaspoon of each. So now we got our salt and pepper in there, and all our other goodies, our corn, our sour cream, our butter, our sugar, and we're ready to send this off to the oven. So let's go ahead and put this in this 2-quart casserole dish. Now I'm going to put it in the oven, but even though I got a lid for it, I'm not going to use the lid. I'm going to cook it, bake it in the oven uncovered. So, and I always try to think when I'm making these recipes, if I was watching this video, what would somebody ask? Do you cover it up? Do you not cover it up? That's why I try to include as many things as I can, and hopefully your recipes turn out as good as they do here at the house. And there we have it. It's ready to go. We got our can of whole corn, our can of cream corn, and the whole corn was drained, obviously. And we got our little 8-ounce package of sour cream. We got our Jiffy corn muffin mix. We got our 2 eggs beaten, put in there at room temperature. We thawed out or melted down a stick of butter. And while it was still warm in the microwave, or even kind of bubbling, we threw in 2 tablespoons of sugar, mixed it in, then we let it cool back down. We got it in here, a little bit of salt and pepper to taste, so to speak. Not very much at all, because this is not really a salt and pepper kind of recipe. And we're going to pop this in the oven at 350 degrees until it's golden brown on top, and you can actually stick a toothpick in it and not get anything to come back out sticking on the toothpick. It'll almost kind of be spongy on top when it's done. And let's go from here to the oven and see what happens. Man, this stuff smells really, really good. Let me give you the scoop on this. I forgot to mention that we sprayed the inside of this casserole dish with a baking spray before we put in our mixture. And we did it at 350 degrees, and I timed it 1 hour to get perfectly golden brown and firm. 1 hour cooking time to make this just perfect. Now come take a look at what we got here. This is incredible. Man, it turned out just perfect at 1 hour. It's not burned around the edges. Look at here. It's nice and firm. You can't even move it, so that means it's done all the way through. And I almost hate to put a spoon into this because it looks so fantastic, but here we go. Gee whiz. What a nice texture. Look at that. It's almost kind of like a cake in there a little bit. Sheila said she couldn't wait to try this also. Doesn't it look good, babe?
It's really good.
Man, it does. All right. Let me give her the big taste test. I'm going to kind of have to let this cool just a second. What I did also is I baked it for 1 hour, then I shut the oven off, and I let it sit in there for about another 5 to 10-ish minutes, kind of. Then took it out and put it on the counter, and it's only been cooling for about 15 minutes, so it's still plenty warm. We should have let it cool for about a half hour or so before we put it on camera. Wowee. This is absolutely incredible, the flavor. With the eggs in there and the sugar in there and the corn muffin mix. You wait till you try this, Sheila. This stuff is fantastic. So many times on this show I say, oh, this is good or that's terrific. Buddy, this stuff is to die for. Kind of brings back memories of my mom's scalloped corn, which did not have this Jiffy corn muffin mix in it. I wish she could have tasted this because I think she would add that to her recipe. But you got to give it a try. The recipe's in the description below. You just copy it and you can paste it on something and print it out at home. Somebody sent me a kind of a message and said, how come you don't put in the ingredients on the bottom? I just figured everybody stopped and paused the YouTube channel and wrote it down and played it. But I thought, yeah, that would be a good idea. So from now on, I'll put all the ingredients in the description below. You can just copy it, hit paste, and put it on a piece of paper and print it, and then you'll have it right in your little file. Try this stuff. This is absolutely terrific, and I'm not kidding. Here's our subscribe button. If you enjoy our recipes, click on that. But you got to try this. And I'm telling you, once you try it, you'll send us a little note that said we made it, and it is great. This is Steve Hall in Nashville, Tennessee, saying I hope you give all our recipes a try, and we'll see you next time right here on Cooking with Shotgun Red. Bye-bye for now.
I am renaming this stuff to Jiffy Corn Casserole.
That sounds pretty good. That sounds pretty. You know, I actually forgot to say something in the video. Would you say it for me?
Yes, I will.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Is this the best?
Is this the best?
Jiffy corn casserole?
Jiffy corn casserole.
You ever ate?
You ever ate?
If it ain't.
If it ain't.
It ought to be.
It ought to be.
See you next time.
See you next time.